I found out that Evelyn originated from Hong Kong and appears to be a very successful venture capitalist. Most importantly, I found out that she has served as a judge at the Silicon Valley Funding Summit for Tech and AI Global Startups, held in Las Vegas at the CES 3 years in a row, 2023, 2024, 2025. I was suitably impressed, weren't you? So we talked a little about the geopolitical situation. Somewhere along the line, I thought Evelyn would be the perfect person to share her experiences at our annual Winner HKCBA event, already slotted to be on June 5th, today. I asked Evelyn if she might be interested. Of everything that she had said, one statement stuck out in my mind. She said, "I would like to give back." For some reason, it came across as genuine, coming from the heart. I seized on that opportunity, and the rest is history. So now, who is Evelyn? Evelyn is someone who does not just talk about global growth, she engineers it. Evelyn Y.K is the founder and managing partner of Vine Ventures Corporation, an international venture capital strategic advisor known for guiding fast-growth companies through investment and complex capital raises, global expansion, and game-changing positioning. Her work spans Silicon Valley to New York to Europe and Asia and beyond, connecting visionary founders with the capital, clarity, and strategy they need to scale across borders. She has lived in 7 global cities and a true global citizen. In 2023, she was also the opening speaker at the forum organized by Pac Peak Ventures, Beyond the Horizon. Today, she'll be sharing insights from the front lines of international venture capital, where opportunity lives in alignment, leadership, and the courage to move with precision. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the native daughter of Hong Kong who wants to give back, Evelyn Y.K.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am more than delighted to be here. I see so many familiar faces, some new friends I just met last night. And we met in Vancouver last week. And the lovely Grace that we only met in January this year in Hong Kong. Of course, Martin, and Sonia, Sarah. We met 3 times on Zoom call. One with face, one with 2 without faces. And she's running around, I'm running around, we're all running around. And also, Jessie, where's Jessie? Jessie, with Grace, my last night in Hong Kong, that we were hanging out together. And also Amir, thank you for coming. Dimitri, our Russian friend. Hi, thank you for coming. If I miss any, Gordon, hi. So anyway, I just want to say, oh, yes. Connie and Ernest, I apologize. So many wonderful people. And David, filmmaker. I owe you the email. I apologize. I didn't have time to download the emails and reply. So I'm so happy to be here. But I want to say thank you for my 3 great friends that travel all the way from Vancouver, just arrived like myself, just to attend this beautiful event. I would like to introduce quickly Chris, the founder and CEO of Zero Carbon.
Yeah.
Joe, founder and CEO of Rocket Plan. Mr. Sao. He's the shareholder of Rocket Plan. So I'm ready to work. So today, I'm going to share with all of you about our future. We are living in a very interesting time where the future is really boundless. How our vision, how clarity, and how capital will shape our future together in 2025 and beyond. Mr. Tony, next. Yeah. So I'm going to start with you about my personal experience, about the rooms. There are so many rooms. So just like here, we're in this beautiful room. Thank you for our sponsor, Chidel here. So the very first time I walked into the room where there's so many venture capitalists, so I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the loudest, I wasn't the white male. I am this little Asian female that I don't think all the men expected me to be at that room. But when I left the room, there was this message about who I was, because everybody was listening, just like today here. So the key message is not about what I brought to the table, it's because about the insight, about precision, and also the ability to turn potential into performance. We need to perform. I am under pressure to perform here to speak. So, and that moment taught me something I will never be forgotten. Capital isn't just follow confidence, it follows clarity. So today I would love to share with you how the future of businesses isn't just getting into that room, it is about changing what happened when you're in that room. So let's zoom out for a moment. Let's look at that map, where global venture capital lies this year and beyond. Because while founders were head down building and investors are heads down sourcing, evaluating deals, evaluating opportunity, the world is quietly withdrawing the map of opportunity. In 2025, global venture capital isn't just contracting, it is correcting. The capital is still out there. The LPs are still writing checks, but the game has changed. Emerging markets are becoming capital-efficient powerhouses. Middle markets are outpacing mega hubs in return on investment. And we are seeing innovation no longer constrained by borders. AI in Eastern Europe, logistic breakthrough in Latin America, fintech revolutions in Africa, and deep tech surges in Southeast Asia. So when we talk about the future of global capital, Greater China and Hong Kong aren't just part of the conversation, they are helping to shape it, to lead it. Hong Kong continues to be a super powerful super connector between the East and the West, offering assets, scale, and trust. From fintech and AI to sustainability and bioscience, the region remains an epicenter for innovation and investment. For founders who can align themselves with this market pace and precision, this opportunity isn't just growing, it's truly global. This isn't about chasing the next unicorn. It's about understanding where capital can move the fastest, with the least friction and the most leverage and upside. Cross-border investing used to be quite complex. Now it's all about strategic. With the right advisory, founders can unlock global capital faster than local checks. And smart investors, they are no longer asking, where is the Silicon Valley of X? They're asking, where is the velocity? Where is the upside? Where is the founder advantage? So this year, 2025, is the year capital goes truly borderless. The investors who will truly thrive and be successful, they already thinking and acting globally, but they move locally. And the founders who truly winning, they will be stop chasing investors. These founders, they will start attracting the ones that align to the vision, the velocity, and the values. And those will be the winners. So the core insight, I have picked 3. There are many, but I want to be concise. My insight number 1 is about positioning. Your position is so important. Positioning beats pitching. Most founders, they walk into the investor meetings. They're ready to pitch. They want to pitch. They want to, hey, this is my pitch. But the greatest one, they walk in already positioned themselves. They're well prepared. And this year, investors, they aren't looking for great products. They are looking for leaders in that category. So strategic clarity is your greatest multiplier. When a founder knows exactly who they serve and why now, and what makes them non-deniable, that they cannot be replaced. They are the one that the capital would just chase them and want to invest into them. They already the winner. So investor, the professional ones, we don't need any convincing. We don't need, they hey, pitch, because I have like a few hundred proposals. We don't even have time to read everything. So, but they need to be ready to join in as already winners. Because now, in this year, and in this era, there are a lot of uncertainties. So being the winner, we need to be well prepared and well positioned. So I have seen so many startups that they raise the financing in very short record time, not because they have the most polished deck, not because of the corporate presentation, but because their story is so unique. Their story are undeniable. So your positioning will get you into that meeting, but your clarity is what will close your fundraising round. You need to be so clear, you need to be concise, and you need to be just all positioned. So, Tony, yeah, thank you. Insight number 2 is think globally, and close locally. So global capital is real. There's a lot of capital globally all over the world, but the local execution still wins. You need to execute locally. So we're in an era where a founder in Toronto, I see a few founders here today, that you're based in Toronto, they can raise the funding from Dubai and then they scale into Europe, and then they can operate right away in Latin America, all at the same time, within 12 months. But here's the significance. Cross-border capital requires grounded infrastructure. Founders must align the global narrative with local readiness, such as legal structure, legal compliance, go-to-market strategy, and cultural relevancy. There is where and why so many opportunities, so many deals, they fall apart. Because investors feel the upside, but it gets lost in all the uncertainty. So the founders who win in cross-border capital markets are the ones who can de-risk the unknown. They can de-risk all the uncertainty. They can de-risk all the fears. So I call that global force of attraction with local muscle. Insight number 3, what is the biggest asset? What is the true asset? It's not just only on your financial statement, Sonia, fixed asset, current asset. So the real asset is the founder, is the person, is you, who are all the founders. So let's talk about what investors are really betting on. It's not just about your market. It's not about just the opportunity, because there's so many opportunities now. There's so many founders, there's so many pitches, and it's not about the tech, it's not about the IPs, it's not about, hey, we have all these patents, we have all these greatest technologies, we have all these greatest people, about the background and, names and titles and everything. It is about you. It is all about you being the founder. You are the most important asset, the founder. So this year, 2025, with artificial intelligence, AI, building so fast, faster than ever. We heard about AI all the time, but I heard about AI 20 years ago. But now people talk about it all the time, right? And capital shifting across borders. They go so fast, everything's so fast. So what is your greatest competitive advantage? What is your edge? Why they invest in you? Why picking you? Because it's how you position yourself and how you present yourself as a leader, as a true leader that can lead, that they can trust you. That they can trust you. So, are you communicating like a visionary? Are you able to communicate your vision, your mission? Are you able to truly operate as a CEO, as a person, he or she just works so hard to accomplish that mission, vision, that goal, that business plan, day in, day out, work. And most importantly, are you coachable? Are you listening to advice? Are you credible? How credible are you? And are you compelling enough in every single conversation? I have worked with so many founders. I have worked with many investors. I have worked with many capital partners. I have worked a lot. I have been over 20 years experience in this, running around the world. But a lot of founders, they don't understand that if they themselves didn't change the product is not the physical product, it's not just the brand. Whatever they have invested is really dumb, because you're really competing with so many others out there in the world right now. So what is the product that will double your valuation? So Chris, we were just debating about the valuation report that he has shown me 3 months ago. I said, well, 67 million, I will cut it into a significant amount to reflect the current global environment. So how are we going to win in this global village? How are founders and investors going to win? We have to really simply just stepping into ourselves to be the very best version of ourselves every single day. When we're living, when we're working, when we're breathing, like Sonia, Sarah, we're working very hard even to prepare with the limited time we have today. Like Grace worked the hardest. I have never seen a lady that, working as much as I am. No, seriously. She is amazing. She is like, I have to seriously, I'm here because of her. I didn't even know she put me here. I didn't know she was talking behind my back to talk to like Sonia. So I'm so grateful, and I think everything in life is happening for a reason. So I'm so grateful to all the good people, all the good ladies. I think ladies, we really want to help each other without egos. So in this super crowded world that we're in, investors really follow certainty. So be that certainty, be the solid certainty. So they know they're going to partner up with you in the long term. When they invest in you, when they write you the check, it's not just the money, it's a long-term partnership. I am also, so I work with people that know me 20 years, that we're still friends, we still do deals together. So after the 3 insights, what is the vision for our future? What is this new age of global builders? You are all global builders. Calvin, he is. You are. You guys working very hard. I saw them working so hard last week, with the Hong Kong government, and then preparing speaking and everybody running around in Web Summit. I was running around. I was being pulled into different meetings. I was like, So now imagine that our world isn't just capital, that isn't gated by geography, because they come all the way from Hong Kong just to go to a Web Summit. And then they fly here to Toronto, attended this event. And then, it's no longer geography. It's also no longer gender. I used to always like, oh, I'm female and I'm, young looking and I'm, and not any more of those geography, gender, your age, how you're looking young, and by networks. It's a flow to broad ideas that align on the execution, no matter where they come from. So it doesn't matter you come from China, So a founder in Nairobi, they closed the financing round on a Tuesday afternoon with a firm in Singapore. So imagine a firm in Africa closed the money from Singapore. I wish, and will be they coming back to Hong Kong, because I'm from Hong Kong. So I'm all about Hong Kong. So, and we're a women-led startup in Bogota. Where is Bogota?
Bogota.
Yeah, Bogota. Yeah, Bogota. There's the language. Bogota in Colombia. They become the next billion-dollar exit. Can you imagine? And because investors, they finally realize that, they have to stop estimating her, a South American woman, and she lead and she exit with a unicorn, billion-dollar, everybody happy, all the investors. So where clarity, imagine she was here doing the pitch to all of you. She's so clear with clarity, but not only connections. Of course, she has to be connected to the money. She has to be there, have the connection. But if she's not clear, how can she even able to pitch or earn the trust? It's all about trust, because writing the check and then giving to the person, okay, use it, you can use it. You can use it, hey, use it, use my money. When am I going to get my money back? So it's all about trust. And where trust are from? Why are we trusting each other? Do we know each other? Do I know you? Huh? Do I know you? You're pitching me an opportunity, I'm going to make a lot of money, but it's not about money. It's so much more than just money. So this world isn't a fantasy anymore. It's not fantasizing anymore. It's already starting to happen. It's reality. So I see it every week. In term sheets, they can just sign in hours, the term sheets. And in global investor syndicates, that signing faster than ever. And in founders that they have stopped playing small, and because they finally realized they are actually the market. They are the market because they're doing a lot of good things to the world. You know, the new startup, but has to be that one of the, I would say, 100,000. Because I had a lunch invitation last week with Global VC. They are small size, but fair size, you know, in that space, about 2.5 billion under asset management. And they just raised a fund of 100 million. And then we sit down actually to one of my portfolio company, Rocket Plan. They were so interested. They reached out to the founder. They want to meet the founder. They want to invest. So it's so interesting that, you know, the capital, they're chasing the opportunity. So the market is here, and how are we going to align about doing and be in that opportunities? Because the future of business is truly boundless. There's no boundary. And more importantly, the future of leadership, what is leadership? It's really personal and strategic, visionary, and very bold. So the next generation of global companies, what are these global companies? They won't just be powered by capital, they will be powered by special leaders. We have many of them here. Thank you, all the leaders. And it's not just only about that the leaders are there, that you guys already positioned there, but about the special leaders, that how you can convey your vision into velocity, into turn pressure into performance, into deliverables. So here is what I've asked of you. Step into the room that you were born to lead. So whether you are an investor, whether you're a founder, or you're a strategist, you're shaping the next decade of business, stop waiting for the perfect timing. There's no perfect timing. Start building and working alignment and speed. We need to move fast because the world is moving so fast. So please lead with your great intention. You're all here today. You're here for a reason. So follow that intention. So because the future we're talking about, it won't be just built by those who are the loudest or the safest, but it will be built by those who know exactly who they are, who you are, and what you stand for. Why you're here, why you're representing the Hong Kong government, representing your ventures. So no matter where you started and no matter where you're going, just focus on being the very best of yourself. So the rooms that used to matter are already shifting globally. The investors who win are listening very differently. And the leaders who will rise up next aren't the one who fit the mold. Not just say, hey, you know, I have capital, I'm family office, oh, I'm VC, oh, I am. No, because there's so many of those. And not be, I've been whatever, the founders of whatever success, because there are a lot of success out there. And there's so much competition globally. There's so much competition. Like Amir, where I met him last week, he, accidentally, that he was pitching with the Dutch delegation organized by the consulate of the Netherlands. And I say, oh, you're not from Netherlands? He would say, oh no, I'm the Canadian partner. I say, oh, okay. So he knows how competitive because he has to compete with at least 9 others just in that room to get some attention. I gave him like 5 minutes and I say, hey, I will be in Toronto next week. So there are so much competition. So the one who really will make it, you can't just follow the mold. You have to break the mold. You have to be the special one. So my only question left is, will you be ready to step into that room that you were all born to lead? Because I see all of you are leaders. All of you are leaders. You lead yourself to walk here and then participate here. So thank you so much. This is my humble sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn. Thanks, Ashley. Unlike with Evelyn, Sarah Koutoulakis and I go way back. Our paths first crossed when Sarah joined the Canada-China Business Council, CCBC, and I was serving as president of the Hong Kong Canada Business Association Toronto section. Over the years, alongside many of you here today, we worked to create opportunities for HKCBA and CCBC to collaborate, strengthening business ties between Canada, Hong Kong, China, and Greater Asia. And beyond the boardroom, I've had the pleasure of watching Sarah's 2 daughters grow up over a 15-year span as they participated in HKCBA's annual Lunar New Year Gala celebrations. During that same period, as COO and Executive Director of the CCBC, Sarah was at the forefront of Asia's remarkable transformation.
And once again, to anybody that is tuning in online, you can send your questions through the chat. So let's just get everyone accommodated, and it should be just a little flick of the switch on your microphone to turn it on. Welcome.
Okay, it works. Thanks for everyone who are here. I know we are running a little bit late, but I promise you that this would be a great session to hear the 2 ladies. So we have a number of questions. First and foremost, I'm going to start with you, Evelyn. How did life choices shape your career? Like, how is it that you became a global venture capitalist?
Loaded question. So I think so many decision makings on a daily basis. So I think started when I was young and I grew up in British Hong Kong. In that era, was still British, and I grew up with my grandparents, not my parents. They're very, very busy. They have their own business. So I was really inspired by my grandmother. She's a go-getter. She's very impressive, very kind woman that I got inspired to live her dream, I think, because she wanted me to go to America, to San Francisco, because we have a lot of relatives. You know, we have tons of relatives in California, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, and then that's my father's side. My mother's side also have a lot of relatives in Florida. So I'm kind of like sad, you know, if I go there, I have many relatives I never met my entire life, but good that I have people that have the whole network, right? But unfortunately, I got denied. US didn't give me a visa. They say, young girl, we don't want girls in United States. So I end up in Canada. So I think started from there. But how there to now is I don't want to bore you guys. It's so many decisions on a daily basis that taking risks, but trusting yourself and live your dream, because it was my dream to be an entrepreneurial internationally. I'm a very, very ambitious person. So I wanted to be not just an entrepreneur, I want to be international entrepreneur. I want to travel around the world, I want to see the world, I want to experience the world. I wanted to to contribute. I wanted to do my very best and as a human being. So when I was very young, I wanted to do that. So I am basically living my dream. Of course, it's not easy. It's has a lot of challenges, but I am very determined. I think what life choices is being focused and really stay positive and be kind, be a good person, and do your best every day, and be a respectful person and be kind to everyone. I think particularly nowadays it's so important what's happening globally. I think we are all very fortunate, the people here sitting in this audience. We really have to do our best to give, to help. So does that answer your question? Short version.
Not exactly, but I'm sure over the near future we will get to know one another better.
Yeah.
And because it really just surprised me, like how is it that, you know, a little girl, 17 years old, became an international venture capitalist? Like, how did that happen? I would learn from you one of these days.
Sure. Yeah.
So coming back to Sarah, in your presentation earlier on, you talked about your professional journey. So I want to ask you, throughout it all, what is something about yourself that surprises people?
I would say that the thing that probably surprises people the most is that my daughters and I only speak Chinese to each other.
Wow.
And it's very fun to freak people out in elevators. You know, you get in an elevator with a Chinese family whose kids won't speak Chinese back to the parents, and they hear these funny sort of Greek Canadian kids speaking Chinese. So that's that I think surprises people. And also, you know, when I was interviewing for the CCBC job, it was a little bit of a competitive advantage, right? It shows that I'm serious about this.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's like you're determined. You were determined that your girls would grow up speaking Mandarin.
Right, and my husband spoke Greek to them, so we basically said, these are the rules. You speak Chinese to mom, you speak Greek to dad, you speak Chinese to each other, and you know, they're around and still doing it.
I admire you. My own son, before he went to school, we would speak Mandarin at home. The minute he started school, he refused to speak Mandarin. So I guess that's life. All right, so coming back to you, Evelyn. This question I think is for the both of you, but one at a time. So Evelyn, for the past 20 years or more, you have been basically involved with finance, global venture capital investments, big dollars. It's all very, very glamorous, right? And positive and wonderful. Is there anything that is on the flip side?
Yes.
That you have experienced?
Yes. Yes. So many. It's not really so glamorous. The way how it kind of like flying all over the world, like the best of the best hotels, restaurants. Chris always tease me. Well, every time you like different lunches and dinners, and I thought, well, because those are work all the time. It's not what people see just on the surface, because it's a very serious business. What we're doing, very, very serious business.
So how do you sustain through all this?
I am very positive. I trust in all the goodness. I pray to God all the time. Not religious at all. I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual. I believe things happen for reasons, and I just follow that. I have to start focus on being good and trust in all the good people. Like today, it won't happen if I really have to start pointing to grace Grace, grace, grace. I'm full of grace to know grace. No, seriously, it's beyond my expectation. Seriously, it's a very dear friend of mine now. Only like the last few months, she texts me all the time, like, how's your mother? Like, all the time, because I'm actually under a lot of stress. My mother is still at the hospital. But I thank my mother, because if she's not like almost dying, I probably might not go to Hong Kong at the Asian Financial Forum, because I have so many places to go. I'm sorry. So I went there, and then I stayed in Hong Kong the longest. I've never stayed there for like 4 weeks. So and then we met. So to answer you, really just follow your path. You know your path because you know yourself. You know what you want. So just follow that, what you want, and just work very hard on this. So it's not about glamorous at all. It's hard work. It's determination, focused, very determined, and trust in yourself and trust in others. So all your counterparties are very important. So pick and be selective. What I've learned is I always too nice. So I have to learn to protect myself a bit. So that is the real thing. Because I've been burned too, right? In this world, I'm sure Chris, can share many stories, and also Joe can share many stories.
You don't get enough sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So I slept on average about 4 to 5 hours because I'm jet lagged all the time. So constantly, so it become chronic. So it's chronic is being part of my system. So I'm pretty okay with that. I've been running around, but that was my dream. So I choose to live that life. So I should be so grateful. Does that answer you?
Yes, it's wonderful that you know what you want. I wouldn't say when I was 18 whether I knew what I wanted. I don't even know what I want now. So let alone, I'm serious. For people who know exactly what they want, you're lucky to know that.
Thank you.
And then I guess internally and up here, you're just strong enough to get to where you are today.
Thank you.
So that is, I think she coined the term human sustainability.
Yeah, that I coined that because everyone talk about sustainability, but that is, I think we as human beings, we're one form of animal. We're living here with a finite, very limited time span. So to how we can be sustainable, like as a human being. There's a lot of forestry. All this are also very important. We're in this environment, right? Breathing the air, the water, but how we as human being, we can, I just recently celebrated Chris, 70.
She's gonna bring it up again.
75 years young birthday. And then I thought, wow, you know what? This is his last, he has been so successful, so many successful ventures, and he has done it. And why is he still doing this, like zero carbon? But I think, I really wish, like I said, another 30 years minimum. So, but how are we going to sustain that, right? We are also doing road shows, and he's working so hard. He got up 5 a.m. Yeah, Joe work all the time. And Sal the shareholder, he works all the time too. Just like Grace and Sonia, she stay at the office till 1 a.m. She's still texting me, it's 10 p.m. I say, well, it's 1 a.m. And then when I was 11 p.m., I say, well, it's 2 a.m. your time. Why is she? So I think there are,
Well, to be able to get you two ladies up here, it's the greatest honor. So it has to be done right. Turning to Sarah's version of sustainability, tell us a little bit about based on your experience, like what is the meaning of sustainability being a market differentiator?
So I think, when we look at, one of the reasons my organization now was established was people realized that the world's forests were disappearing. And they're still disappearing. I think it's 2% a year, even with all of these efforts to keep them going. Tridel needs land to build on, right? Everybody wants land to do something, but the forests play a really important role in, fire suppression, in biodiversity. One of the things we've been working on is what role we can play in what we call climate and ecosystem services. If you have a well-managed forest, it means you have more clean water. If you're, making soda, making Coca-Cola, you need clean water, right? Or maybe your corporation is really focused in a particular geography, and you want to make sure that the land around there is sustainable. Turtles are protected, or whatever the case is. And so we're trying to think about ways to make the case for everyone to be able to understand that their actions have consequences, and that the more they demand that the companies they work with are sourcing or operating as sustainably as possible, the easier it is to convince companies or logging companies or other things to make these, what end up being voluntary decisions, over and above what the law requires. And in particular, our system really looks at, say, the rights of indigenous people, and the fact that indigenous people have been stewarding forests for time immemorial. I just came back from Missoula, Montana. So I was thinking, in terms of human sustainability, I always say that the next time I get on a plane and I don't enter from the jetway and get all excited about getting on the plane, that's when it's probably time to stop. But this was a really interesting trip to Missoula, and we saw some land that is preserving bison that's run by a confederation of 2 Indian tribes. And their goal is actually to take the forests back to the state they were in pre-European colonization. So how very interesting, right? So
That's a lofty objective.
it is, it is.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask Evelyn, you have been involved as a judge, right, for 3 years at CES. Tell us some fun stories, behind the scenes stories.
Yeah, actually, to clarify, I was 3 years on the road as judge invited by Silicon Valley's Funding Summit, which has been a long established association that they have been doing this for many, many years. I was very fortunate because one of my business partners has been a judge for many, many years, and happened when we opened after COVID CES, and then that event always happened the day before the grand thing. There are so many events all over, and then the European trade government, they take at least 30 companies there. So every year I do that for my contribution, because it's work get there at 8 a.m. and then they start at 9, and then 9 to 5, and just about 10 to 12 of us sitting at the front, and then everybody coming to pitch. So just to clarify, it's not really the CES, but they held in CES. The CES, there's so many happenings, 250,000 people all over the world to attend CES event. So what is interesting behind the scene is 2 years ago, my venture partner, Doug Louis, he was then the board member of Aptera Motor, which is a solar 3-wheeler vehicle that is one of the top one, or the top one in the United States. So Doug said, "Oh, Evelyn, I'm going to arrange you to meet, this #1 company, global company, like solar car, it's a big deal." So so I said, okay, if the schedule fit, we go there, we have a meeting. So it was very impressive. The company is called Lightyear, and actually on last Monday, I asked the consulate for permission if I can say this at the Netherlands event because it's not a pretty story. It was a fantastic story, but the company blew up. It was the darling company all over the world because it's the #1 first solar car company. You're not talking about three-wheeler, which because it takes much less energy. You're talking about the entire car, a solar vehicle, right? That is something, right? So I think minimum maybe close to anywhere 250 million to 300 million have been invested by, they have a lot of grants from the government, of course, and a lot of just investor locally from the Netherlands. And when I met with the CEO, the founder, and the CFO at the booth, it was a huge booth. The booth by itself is bigger than this space. And they have a few cars, like solar cars, the one they're going to go to market. So the CEO and me took me to the back, at the back. Like you go in, okay, hello, and they take you at the back. It was a room that locked up. You go through, and then they lock up. Everything was closed. You cannot see the car. Like there was 2 cars at the front that are all the press because they were like press all over the news. Right, big deal, big deal. So I went inside. I followed them. They lead me to the car. It was a beautiful car. The car was like so amazing. It was like the first solar vehicle in the world. Like they got me in and then they showed me. I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Like I sit inside the car and it's just like amazing. It's like, wow. Like, wow. They told me all the features, like this and this and this. It's a car, right? But I was so impressed. I was like, this is so fun. Like, they're telling me how much. But the point here, what is behind the story was, while everyone was so impressed, the news were so impressed, CES, the people were so impressed, and I was pretty impressed. And when the event was done, I think 2-3 weeks later, in the news, the company collapsed.
So that's the one that got one of the awards, and then in a few weeks it collapsed.
Yeah, collapse means that they cannot sustain.
Bankruptcy?
Yeah, later, yeah. So it's so I think what I see is like we cannot just judge by the surface, right? With all this impressive, and for sure that one, if they are able to execute a business plan, it's a glory from the Netherlands because the government supported. And last Monday when I was at the consulate event, the consulate, I say, hey, I will be speaking next week. He said, okay, I talk about this. I don't want to be like doing something not appropriate, right? I'm not saying negative things about Dutch or the professional investors like the Netherlands, or I'm not speaking anything negative at all. It's just like reality. Because everybody know about it. And they would say, oh, don't worry, you can talk about it. So that is the behind the scenes story. There are many, but I think that really stay inside my heart because I'm not a person out there taking photos or media. All my life I'm pretty like I like to just do my thing running around. But with all this headlight and all this impressive things, but ultimately how they sustain because it collapsed. So the company now I think is still there, but after a lot of different restructuring. So probably they pay back some of the investor, but even more interesting when I was at that event, at the Dutch event, so there was a guy saying, oh yeah, the guys make the most money are the one they hire to restructure because they will get paid first and then the investor not going to get paid until whatever. So you think about it, right? Like there's a lot of trust into that, but it collapsed. So sustainability, like doing good thing about the first solar vehicle that can so many good things to the environment. Anyway.
I guess there's just no certainty in life, and perhaps that experience for that company would bode well in these days and age, right? When we are faced with humongous uncertainties. Yeah. So we're going to conclude with one more question for Sarah, which is, share with us a couple of lessons learned the hard way.
Okay, well, so when I was working for this Taiwanese company, I was 23 years old. I didn't have money. I hadn't even ever owned a car. So they moved me to the LA office, and I stayed in the company apartment in LA. Sometimes it was just me. Sometimes there were, 12, 13 people from headquarters. But it turns out that for a period of months, it was me and the boss's brother. So I worked for an engineer. The president of the company was an HP engineer, very westernized, very open to my ideas, so much so that after a year in Taipei, he sent me to LA. And I felt very comfortable and very open sharing my thoughts and ideas with him. His brother was a very traditional Chinese businessman from the construction industry. These guys couldn't have been more opposite, And what I didn't understand is that he was also a much more traditional Chinese business person, and culturally much less willing to speak openly. And so, I went about my life doing the usual things I was doing as an American, right? Say what you mean what you say. I thought we should recycle office paper in a box. I thought that would be a good idea. Turns out he hated that idea. Very controversial, apparently. We were in an apartment together in Los Angeles. It was quite warm. We had a nice balcony. So I asked him if he could smoke on the balcony rather than smoking inside the apartment. Heresy. This was terrible. But he never let on at all that all of these things I did were bothering him. So there was a string of these things, and I was just not at all sensitive to the fact that this might have been a problem. And so someone explained to me that, in a Chinese culture, if you do something somebody doesn't like the first time, they'll basically just keep it to themselves, and the second time, they'll keep it to themselves, and the third time, if you're lucky, they'll tell somebody else, and then it will get back to you. And so at some point, I realized that every night he was on the phone to his brother saying, who's this stupid American you hired, and she's doing a terrible job, and you need to get rid of her. And so ultimately, it resulted in the president coming to LA, sorting it all out. I stayed, the brother went back, but not really a victory, right? If I had been more sensitive culturally, we wouldn't have had to have that conflict. So that was a big lesson learned.
Did you have to pay rent?
I did not have to pay rent, which is why it made sense to, I didn't have to pay rent. We weren't on big salaries, and so, you did what you could, right? You lived in a company apartment.
Okay, all right. So these are the questions that we have, and I'd like to now open to the floor if you have any questions for either Chris, please.
Sure.
I'm going to give you a mic just so that everybody.
You probably won't need it with me.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time down in Brazil, especially up in Rondônia, the northern part, very close to the Amazon.
Yep.
One of the biggest problems we had there with the forests was the local guys cutting down all the trees. And in fact, the whole of Rondônia used to be trees. Now it's all over into cattle, ranching. They lost it. I'm seeing also too in the indigenous population in the Amazon, they're basically losing their culture. They're losing their habitat. They're losing water, even though Brazil's got a phenomenal amount of water.
Right.
But as we know, the next war probably fought over water, because if you don't have water, you're dead.
Yeah.
According to what I understand. So out of that, what is your group doing down there? I know you're in North America, but that is an area that, when it's the most, I think, that produces more of the carbon credits in that area. But it's in fact the worst environmental disaster. It doesn't burn it.
It's a very important region for that reason. Yeah. And actually Brazil has our most engaged group of members and a lot of activity working with the government, because you need a combination of government policies and motivation of corporations not to destroy the environment. And we have a series of 9 principles. And principle 3 is related to indigenous rights. And in a place like Brazil, it's very important that people be allowed to keep their cultures and their traditions. And even here, I'll give you an example closer to home. I was visiting a forest up in northern Ontario, and the company that manages the forest was talking about their participation in what we call FPIC, free, prior, and informed consent. And so you're required as an FSC certificate holder to engage in those conversations, and not just to like send an email and say we're gonna harvest timber in your area, but you have to have a relationship with the First Nations. And she was saying that as they put their management plan in place for harvesting over the course of decades, they'll go to the local First Nation and say, hey, next month we're going to be harvesting in this area. Do you have any burial sites you need to protect? There's a tree of a species that you make canoes out of that we're not harvesting for our purposes. Do you want to come and make sure you've taken that tree first? And that sort of engagement is really important. And it's tricky, right? Because in any country there's a different engagement. Actually, Taiwan is one of our big success stories, and Taiwan has a big indigenous population, especially in forested areas. So recently the Taiwan government agreed that 100% of Taiwan's forests will be FSC certified, and that's 70% of the forests in the country, and there's a big indigenous engagement there. So I don't have more information on Brazil than that, other than knowing that the type of certification we offer is really important to slow down and prevent what's happening in terms of deforestation and other ecological disasters.
Because there's a lot of investment from China there.
Yeah.
Tremendous amount.
Well, another interesting example is Africa. The guy that runs our Africa region is a Ugandan who got his PhD in forestry from Yunnan in Western China. And so he's collaborating with Cindy in Hong Kong, and they're making sure that the Chinese investors in Africa, who often are investing in places with a lot of trees, are becoming certified.
Interesting,
and it's really interesting how a global organization can make that happen.
Wow.
Other
Interesting.
questions?
Interesting.
Right
Wow.
back here.
Amazing. Interesting.
Thank you everybody for your presentation, and thanks Evelyn for your amazing speech. I have a question to you. If you could go back in time, what's something you wouldn't do again on the path to becoming a global?
Nothing.
Be like, nothing.
I have learned so many things, and I think keep learning still today. I think I need to learn how to take care of myself. I think we all need to learn how to sustain this body. And as a woman, I always like to help and say yes all the time, but I think I have to learn how to say no. But most importantly, the lesson, be more tough. I have lost a lot that because I trust without trust is so important. But when you have a sense of when the time is starting to question, you have to really listen to your heart and then not be just be a bit tougher. I think as a woman we like to nurture and a lot of caring, and I'm not tough enough as a man. I think I need to be because I've been in some transactions I lost is because they sweet talking, right? And then I thought, I know you for so long, and then we have this working relationship. But that when something happened, you really know the true color of that person. And recently, just 2 weeks ago, I was back in New York, and one of the so-called good business colleague, because when the time something not working, that is the time we have to come together, just find a solution to fix the issue, right? So when he was in front of me, I was saying, oh, this, what are we going to do? And then he was telling me, oh, I also put a lot of my own money into this, but does not happen. I've done my best. And say, okay, but you're doing your other transaction, which you keep saying is going to be like, wow, in billion. So why don't, when that is successful, you then take some of that gain or profit to pay back? And you know what he told me? He said, no, it's different. If you invest in Apple or you invest in Amazon, it's two different companies, and then you don't take the gain from this and that. I was like, you know what type of person is this? Because you're a fund manager. We trust in you to allocate fund. When you make a bad decision that is based on this, so I was very disappointed. I think, why did I trust this person? Like, why did I so stupid to trust? So I learned about, what the value system. So I think, just go back to the value system. Have to be, you need to know, I think, find out everything you can, every single thing about that person, because it's not about just money. It's so much more about just the money. So, that has really shocked me, right? I was like, wow, how can you, we trust you.
But then the question I have is, you get the example of Apple and Amazon, right?
Yeah.
But in this particular situation, the people who invested in Apple and the people who invested in Amazon, are they the same people?
Well, he was using that as an example because he has a few portfolio companies. So, and then one of the company we supported as a LP. So I was supposedly, I wear many hats, like GP, LP, SPVs, whatever the opportunity or required, right? So in that particular acquisition capital that we supported, I act as syndicating all the LPs and then co-GP with him, and then it didn't happen, and then I say okay, yes, market conditions like COVID, but since we've been known each other for 20 years, and this is my relationships, they don't know you, they trust me, and you need to pay back, right? Not this one, because you're telling me you are not doing this now, you're focusing in your next thing, which will be in billions. So I said, okay, fantastic, so happy. When you make that, why don't you take some of that to pay back? And then, so he then used this example. He said, no. So I was shocked. I was like, what, but it's you make other decisions. So that is what I'm trying to say. Because he used that example. He said, no, if I'm making gain from this, this is not the same. But for me, I'm very old-fashioned. I think we trust in you. So, does that make sense?
So I guess perhaps the point is, even for somebody that you have worked with for many, many years, you still have to be cautious.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah.